Ain't nobody's running, ain't nobody's hiding, nobody's ducking. I mean, Crawford's going to be right there, ready to trade blows with Canelo Alvarez. Why did you use that word war? Why are you feeling that way?
Go down the list and ask me about tactical advantages. Most of them are Crawford.
Crawford could see everything coming. He could see everything coming that Canelo threw at him. He was reading it so well. His guard was so tight as well when he was up at the ropes, when he was exiting, looking to move around.
Looked about the same size, but that was a brilliant performance. And what can you say? I mean, you got to give him his credit. He created a lot of history. He dreamt this fight. He willed it to happen. A lot of people, not me, but a lot of people laughed at him, said, forget about it, no chance against a bigger guy like that.
Stephen A. Smith gave a strong reaction to Canelo Alvarez's defeat against Terence Crawford. He pointed out that Crawford had been chasing this matchup for years in order to cement his legacy. In Smith's view, Crawford delivered on the grandest stage, walking away as a champion and overshadowing Canelo's spotlight. He stressed that this wasn't just any victory, but a career-defining moment.
Division world champion out of Omaha, Nebraska. He's undefeated, 41-0 with 31 KOs. And he begged for this fight. He wanted Canelo bad because to him, it's all about legacy. I'm not speculating. I'm telling you what I know. And how would I know? It's because I interviewed him. Yesterday, we sat down. Here is my conversation with the one and only Terence Crawford challenging Saul Canelo Alvarez, moving up 2 weight divisions.
Max Kellerman echoed the sentiment, calling Crawford showing both historic and career-defining. He broke down Canelo Alvarez's defeat to Terence Crawford with a sharp analysis, comparing it to stepping up multiple weight classes and taking on an opponent who can pull you into the toughest kind of fight you've ever faced. According to Kellerman, truly confident fighters seek challenges without worrying about size, speed, or power. He underlined that Crawford embodied that fearless mentality, a fighter who for years nobody dared to openly call out. In Kellerman's eyes, this performance secured Crawford standing as one of the sport's most respected warriors.
Giving up or having to jump up 2 more weight classes and fight a guy who might put him in a dogfight, a real one, for the first time in his career.
When we get put in that position, we go find opposition to make that happen. You understand me? So when we go looking for the opposition, we're not concerned about how big they are, how fast they are, how strong they are. We feel like we got enough that we can bring to the table with anybody. That night I fought John Ruiz, I didn't care who was over there. Whoever they brought out that locker room was going to get it. You understand me? That's just what it was. And I think Bud kind of has that feeling. Now, Bud, you got to remember, has been around for a long time. Nobody called him out. You understand me? All the time Floyd came at the boxing floor, never said I want Bud Crawford.
No one ever said his name.
Hey, all I know is one thing. Israel Mazrimov, he didn't get it. He barely lost.
Yeah, but I was just saying, but nobody called him.
Shakur Stevenson's respect for Terence Crawford has always been clear, but following Crawford's dominant victory over Canelo Alvarez, his praise carried even deeper meaning. Stevenson pointed out that Crawford not only lived up to everything he promised ahead of the fight, but also proved exactly why he's regarded so highly in the sport. He admitted that from the early stages of his own career, he closely studied Crawford's style, mindset, and discipline. Witnessing his idol achieve such a monumental accomplishment reinforced to Stevenson that true greatness comes from years of preparation and consistency. For Shakur, Crawford represents more than just a champion. He's a role model and a standard of excellence that young fighters strive to reach.
Said he was going to outbox him. He did exactly what I called years ago. And tonight he proved that he's the greatest boxer that ever lived.
In the interview with Dimwat, you said, you felt like going on a run watching that tonight. How much inspiration can you take from someone like Terence?
I take everything from him. I've been around him since I was a kid. And just watching that greatness on.
Stephen A. Smith reflected on just how determined Terence Crawford was heading into the clash with Canelo Alvarez. He noted that while many fighters in Crawford's position might have asked a superstar like Canelo to meet them at a lower, more favorable weight, Crawford refused to take that route. Instead, he chose to face Canelo head-on at 168 pounds. For Crawford, Smith explained, this was never about comfort, it was about legacy. He reminded fans that Canelo remains one of the sport's elite champions, with titles spanning multiple divisions. By going after Canelo exactly where he reigned, and doing so without hesitation, Crawford showed the hunger to etch his name in history on the toughest stage possible.
41-0, Molly, with 31 knockouts. He's taken on all comers. I asked him, you're moving up in weight. Why would you not try to get Canelo to come down from 168 to 160 to meet you halfway, since his last fight was at Crawford's last fight was at 154. Crawford said, I want what he has. I want to go take it. I don't want to make, I don't want him making concessions and alterations. I'm coming to take what he has. And you look at him, and no one believes that he can't pull it off. He can box, he can punch, he's smart, he's elite, and he wants Canelo. He begged Canelo for this.
Oladipo pointed out the huge shift in how the public now views Terence Crawford. Before the fight, many doubters claimed he was too small, too old, and not built to handle a powerhouse like Canelo Alvarez at a heavyweight. But after the fight, those same critics were among the first to congratulate him, forgetting the doubts they had voiced earlier. Age stressed that Crawford earned every bit of that recognition because he took the hardest possible path. Moving up from lighter divisions to face a dominant champion like Canelo wasn't the easy route. It was a massive gamble. By defeating Canelo so convincingly, Crawford proved that his greatness isn't measured by size or age, but by skill, discipline, and relentless determination.
Did it again a few hours ago against Canelo. And what makes it even special or more special for Crawford is that he did it jumping up, as we know, a couple of weight classes. He did it against one of an all-time or another fellow all-time great, and he did it against someone who was undisputed and still a pound-for-pound top 10 guy. That's what Crawford did, people. So, all those things people were saying in the lead up to this fight, Canelo's going to be too strong, Canelo's too experienced, Crawford's going to be 38, all that. You have to remember all of that when you give Crawford his flowers. Don't like, oh, well, Canelo looks old. No. I don't want to hear any of that. I've started to see a few people on Twitter start to kind of sort of find excuses already. No. Remember everything you said, because Crawford deserves all of that. All of that. Crawford was incredible. Honestly, in the pocket, he was at times showing Canelo, no, I'm stronger than you. I'm going to bully you. Oh, you think you're going to get me in the clinch because you're Mr. 168? No, look at the size of me. I'm jacked as well. I'm swole. And he was moving Canelo around. So by doing that, he got his respect. He didn't switch to orthodox once, stayed in the southpaw stance because he realized early, oh, Canelo don't like this. Canelo does not like this southpaw stance. Canelo's tripping over himself. I'm going to stay here. I'm not going to switch it. No, I like this work. I'm going to stay here. On the ropes, it's like, okay, come in. Because when you come in, I've got that as well. And I can hurt you as well. Spinning off the ropes. His jab was fantastic. They put up the jab numbers. He was out jabbing Canelo like, it was almost like 10-1. Maybe even 20-1. It was fantastic. And when he needed to land those power shots, he was landing those power shots. It was incredible performance.
The Wade Concept analyst provided a key perspective by pushing back against the idea that Canelo's loss could simply be explained as a downfall of an aging fighter. He reminded fans that Crawford is actually older than Canelo, so age cannot serve as an excuse for Alvarez's defeat. On top of that, Canelo came in with clear advantages: greater size, natural power, and comfort at the weight. Yet, even with those edges, Crawford still came out on top. Wade emphasized that this wasn't about Canelo slipping past his prime, but rather about Crawford raising his game to an entirely different level. By dismantling those excuses, he underscored that Crawford's victory was authentic, decisive, and truly historic.
More fundamentally sound. While Canelo, even when he was able to get to range, which wasn't a lot, it wasn't often, he was having a hard time landing clean because everything was super wide and out here and to the body out there. And Crawford would either circle out to that same side, to Canelo's lead hand side. He would circle away because Canelo would step straight to Crawford and chase him and not necessarily cut him off. And even when he threw that hook, I was looking for the hook from Canelo right hand as he stepped through, right? Corral with the lead hand, bang the right hand because you're fighting a southpaw. So yeah, your jab may not be as effective in landing and managing distance and all those things, even though for Terence it kind of was. For Canelo, I was expecting a lot more of that right hand down the middle and over the top, and him jabbing his way, feint jab right hand, and then that lead hook that I thought he would be able to corral Crawford, because Crawford did want to move away from Canelo. He did. He wanted to move away from that power hand. Smart to do. Canelo never took that extra step to step outside of Crawford's lead foot. Again, that orthodox southpaw matchup. It's always going to be a battle of that lead foot. He never took that next step to get outside of that lead foot and then step through Crawford, step to his left where Crawford was going and land his right hand. He just felt like he was falling off to his right with his right hand, and once he fell off to his right after he threw the right hand, there was no follow-ups because he was off balance, and Crawford was out the gate and circling back to reset the action. This was a masterful display from Terence Crawford. And again, I looked at this fight, and I don't want to do the thing where I said, oh, Canelo's washed, he's over the top, he's old. Terence Crawford's older than Canelo. Is he as weathered as far as fights are concerned? No. But you can only do one thing when talking about this fight, and that is give credit to Terence Crawford. If you want to say Canelo looked old, that's fine. That's on you. I'm not going to.
Former world champion Carl Froch broke down the tactical changes Crawford made during the middle rounds. Froch explained that after the 6th and 7th rounds, Crawford recognized the need to step forward and take greater command of the fight. His jab became the key weapon, disrupting Canelo's rhythm and pushing him onto the back foot. Froch highlighted Crawford's ring IQ, praising the way he adjusted his strategy at exactly the right time. Instead of allowing the contest to drift, Crawford took charge and imposed himself with more aggression, showcasing both his intelligence and composure under pressure.
Punches on the back foot, sort of dictating the pace. And then after about round 6 or 7, Canelo Alvarez knew, 1 second. I need a little freshener. Canelo knew he had to step on the gas. He knew he had to put the fight on its front foot and take it to Terence Crawford and start to try and catch him and bang him on. And when he headbutted Crawford, I thought that could be the start of it. A little bit of a nut, get that down. Yeah, I don't know if there was a cut, but the referee stopped and had a look, and I thought now Canelo's going to step on the gas. And he did that. He stepped on the gas, he started getting in close, and he started landing a few more shots than he was in the previous rounds, but it wasn't enough. Terence Crawford was able to catch and counter. He was landing a sneaky uppercut from the southpaw stance. He was dominating behind his jab. And then when Canelo stuck it on him, he was dominating up close in the pocket. He was beating him at his own game. Canelo Alvarez must have been fuming in there. He must have thought to himself, what can I do? He couldn't do anything. He needed to pick up the pace, put the pressure on, and sustain the attacks. And I don't want to take anything away from Terence Crawford, but Canelo Alvarez couldn't do that. He couldn't do it for long enough. Crawford looked like he could have done 20 rounds in there tonight at that pace, the way he was dictating and controlling. And Canelo Alvarez was getting marked up, he was breathing heavy, he was getting tired, he was reaching with shots, and it was getting torn apart. It was an absolute masterclass by Terence Crawford. Canelo tried, Canelo came, he had a go, but to be honest, I don't want to rain on the parade of Crawford, but Canelo Alvarez, for me, is well past his best now. He's seen better days. He hasn't got the pace, he hasn't got the fitness to sustain the attack. Afterwards in the interview, he said, I felt great, it's great, I feel good. And don't forget, Crawford's a couple of years older. So I think it's the miles on the clock. Canelo Alvarez had like 67 fights. I know Crawford's had a fair few fights, but he's about 20 fights behind him. So the miles on the clock have caught up with Canelo Alvarez. He's feeling the pace, he's feeling the...
Another boxing analyst broke down why Terence Crawford's win over Canelo Alvarez should be remembered as a true showcase of ring IQ. He described the performance as nothing less than brilliant, emphasizing how Crawford seemed to predict nearly every punch Canelo tried to throw. Instead of reacting late, Crawford had clearly studied Canelo's tendencies and was ready with precise counters before the shots even came. This level of preparation kept him one step ahead throughout the fight, leaving Canelo's offense looking restricted and predictable. The analyst pointed out that many world-class fighters crumble under the pressure of Canelo's heavy combinations, but Crawford handled them with composure and surgical precision. His success wasn't built on sheer power, but on discipline, strategy, and a mastery of timing. Every defensive move flowed seamlessly into sharp counters, keeping Canelo off balance from start to finish. According to the analyst, this result wasn't a fluke. It was a product of years of experience and meticulous planning. Crawford's ability to neutralize one of the sport's most dangerous champions cemented his status as one of boxing's greatest tacticians.
The lead left hook to try and cut this off, and when he did get his foot to the outside, that was an option. But over time, Crawford, as he always does, as the genius boxer that he is and is able to do, starts to find those counter punches. And there was 2 counters in particular that I noted during the fight that I felt were absolutely key for Crawford. The first was the counter off that left hook to the body. Now, Canelo did land these sometimes. That left hook he throws, the lead left hook, is quite unpredictable. But he started to land it quite effectively to the body from time to time. But what Crawford was doing was he was catching it with his elbow, and then he'd throw the straight left hand back at Canelo as a counter shot. He'd throw multiple shots. And what I really loved about his counter work was he'd never throw more than singles or twos or threes. He never got carried away. He never did too much with Canelo. Don't get me wrong though, Canelo was still defensively very astute in this fight, but he simply didn't have the foot speed to get to Crawford. He couldn't do it. And he didn't want to use his own jab because I believe Crawford's lead hand is so effective that southpaw stance really meant he could dominate the fight with his own lead hand. Canelo's not a massive jabber himself, but now that he was fighting someone closer to his size, I thought he might try and implement a jab, but he didn't because Crawford's counters were just too fast and too good. There was a couple of moments in this fight, and I said in my prediction, I thought that you'd see Crawford in moments looking absolutely electric and just outclassing Canelo, looking too fast and lighting him up. And we saw that. I'll never forget the beginning of round 9 where he actually stood in the pocket with Canelo and he just rolled with the shots and he was throwing counters. It was absolutely brilliant. But the second counter that he used that was really effective was he'd allow Canelo to throw that single right hand, that straight right hand, that backhand for Canelo, make him miss and come back with his own straight left hand over the top. I also thought that Crawford stabbing to the body was very good. He'd throw straight shots to the body, and that was something I predicted from the Lara fight that he would be able to do. That was also where I got the idea with the exits that I felt would be useful. And the reason we knew they'd be useful and important was because of Saunders just not really dealing.
Dan Raphael shared an insightful perspective on how the matchup was viewed leading up to the fight. He pointed out that plenty of fans and analysts dismissed the idea of Crawford defeating Canelo, almost treating it as laughable. But Crawford never once saw it that way. According to Raphael, Crawford didn't view the size gap as a major factor. Instead, he considered himself on equal footing with Canelo. That self-belief carried directly into the ring. Raphael emphasized that confidence is often the key factor separating victory from defeat. By refusing to absorb the doubt surrounding him, Crawford gave himself the mindset to shock the world and redefine what people thought was possible.
Few rounds where he really started to back the supposed bigger guy up, although for me, they looked about the same size. But that was a brilliant performance, and what can you say? I mean, you got to give him his credit. He created a lot of history. He dreamt this fight. He willed it to happen. A lot of people, not me, but a lot of people laughed at him and said, forget about it, no chance against a bigger guy like that. But he showed his greatness.
He spoke about looking to back up Canelo in the fight, as you mentioned there, before it took place. How much of a surprise was it, though, just to see how comfortable he felt doing so?
I think it took him a little while to figure out that, you know what, he doesn't hit as hard as some people were saying, and that I can get in and out, and I'm going to be able to stalk him and walk him down a little bit. And he had Canelo extremely frustrated. And so I guess I was a little surprised he was able to do it, especially in those last couple of rounds. But he definitely was the guy that was going forward and back in. I mean, I've been watching Canelo for his entire career as a known fighter. This is my 24th Canelo Alvarez fight in person. I can't say that against anybody, including big punchers like Triple G and Kovalev and people like that saw him get forced back. That's not normal for a fight with Canelo Alvarez.
Dan, given your time covering Canelo Alvarez and those defeats that he's had in his career, but Bivol tonight amongst other kind of contentious decisions, how much is this one going to hurt? Because there's always been those question marks for the last few years. Is he on the decline? Now there's going to be more question marks. Is this the end of the road for Canelo, certainly at the elite level?
I mean, listen, and this is not a disrespect to Canelo, because everybody who has ever read me, followed me, listened to me knows I love Canelo. I think he's one of the greats of all time. I think you can make a really good...
Crawford's longtime trainer, Brian Bomac McIntyre, wrapped up the discussion with an emotional reflection on his fighter's legacy. He said he had always believed Crawford was the greatest of all time, and this victory only confirmed it in the eyes of the world. Bomac stressed that while Crawford certainly deserves a well-earned rest after such a grueling journey, retirement is not being considered. Instead, the plan is for Crawford to take some time off, recover, and then decide what comes next. For Bomac, the most important thing is that the boxing world now fully recognizes the greatness he has witnessed firsthand for years inside the gym. His words carried both pride and a sense of vindication for the sacrifices and relentless work they've shared along the way.
Bomac, you've been training Crawford for years. Do you think, is he the greatest of all time? Because now people are putting him in the conversation of greatest of all time.
You know that.
You think so?
You know I know.
Okay, what's next for him? You've been training for years. What's next for him? The fans want to know. What's next for him?
Break. Take a break.
Is he retired or is he going to keep fighting?
He just got to take a break.
How are you celebrating? Listen, congratulations to you. Congratulations to you. How are you celebrating?
Just go and have dinner with my wife, man.
Okay, well, are you trainer of the year?
I'll let the critics worry about that.
Last question. Is Terence Crawford retired or is he going to keep fighting?
Oh, he's going to keep fighting.
He's going to keep fighting?
Yeah.
You're the man. Be man. Hey, congratulations. Enjoy the win.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all for today's video. Stay tuned for more updates. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss the latest boxing breakdowns. Until next time.